Okay, it's 7 o'clock. We're calling the meeting to order. Good evening, everybody. Hi, Catherine. Can you hear us okay?
She's muted.
You're muted, Catherine. Can you unmute yourself?
Just to let you know, the volume is not working or something on the thing you have there.
You can't hear us? Or
It's better. No, that's better now. Before.
Maybe I just wasn't speaking clearly. We'll just try to project.
Five.
I think five.
What's that?
Do we have a quorum?
Oh, we do. Yeah, no, we need
Someone's
four.
missing.
We just need four.
Seven.
Yep. Well, the first item on the agenda is call to order, and the second is roll call. So we'll do that, and we'll figure out how many people are here. Christina Davis, I'm present. Pam Summers
Here.
Judy Austin here. Paul Barca
Here.
Keith Lipker
Here.
Angie DeSanto is not here. She did tell me she wasn't going to be here, and she wanted me to see Tim, but Tim is not here. He's actually recovering from surgery, so wish him well. And Holland is not here, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, so that's quorum, so we're good to go. Communications. Making a note for myself. One item, and this will come up when we talk about budget calendar and meeting notes, but just to make everybody aware, the region night, we set our budget schedule and referendum based on the Region 19 schedule. And so right now their referendum is tentatively scheduled for Tuesday, May 6th, but that will be finalized at their Region 19 meeting on November 7th. So we can't really finalize our dates for the budget calendar until we get official word on the Region 19 dates. But it's basically the same, last year it was May 7th, this year it's May 6th, that kind of thing. So I will keep an eye out around November 7th to try to get those dates as soon as possible so we can get our calendar set up, and that way we can start planning appropriately. I did want to just share that the Board of Education met on October 17th, and in that meeting they voted to transfer their surplus funds from the fiscal year 2024 budget to the non-lapsing funds. They actually voted to direct the treasurer to transfer those funds, because that's the new process now. State law changed, giving the Board of Ed the ability to do that transfer. So they did transfer, and they can transfer up to 2% of their total budget. And I think they did very close to that amount. The total amount transferred that they authorized was $162,828.37. There is a note in the minutes that due to changes directed by the auditors, the fund balance represents a different year-end balance amount than previously anticipated. So I did email Bob Carroll, the treasurer, the business manager for the school, just to ask what's up with that, what happened. I'm sure it's nothing other than, whatever some paperwork saying or whatever, but I just wanted to follow up with that. So I'll report back when I find out. Sherry, do you know what that was about?
It's very possible that the auditors are probably making an adjustment with a year-end bill on how it gets classified what year. Something might have been in this current year that's supposed to be last year, so it'll reduce it. So that number, it could fluctuate based on the audit, and they knew that. But just so the auditors have a target number, that they're going to be pulling over, so they can include that as part of the year-end audit.
Gotcha. Okay, thanks for that. So I think that's it for communication. So there are other communication items, but they're on the agenda, and we'll get to them. So the next item on the agenda is approved minutes for the regular meeting that was held on September 26, 2024. Can I have a motion to approve those minutes?
A motion to approve the minutes.
Judy made the motion. Who would like to second?
Second.
Keith seconded. All right, any edits or comments? Okay, with that, I will say, let's vote on approving the minutes of the September 26th meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I will abstain.
Paul abstains. Okay, next item is public comment. Would anybody like to make a public comment? Okay. And the next item on the agenda is the Select Women's Update. Catherine, what would you like to share with
There.
us?
Okay, I will send you the written document afterwards. Our open positions and hires, we are still looking for a senior center director / agent for the elderly. We are still looking for an emergency management director. We have no applicants at this time. Okay. We had put up a $75 bond for a logging company to cross Cattle Rock, also called the Wagon Shed property, in order to log a landlocked piece of parcel that's in Willington. We did that months ago, and we have now released that $7,500 bond because the logging company complied with all requirements for leaving our property in good order. Okay.
So I'm sorry, forgive my ignorance. I don't know how this kind of stuff works. So there's no money that changed hands. It's just.
What we did was, I'm just letting you know something about something financial. Okay. What we did was, for the logger who was going to access Cattle Rock, he had to go through Cattle Rock, create almost a little road to get to this landlocked property. And when that was put forth, this has actually gone on for a couple of years, but we got it, the contract and everything worked out this year. And we had a requirement of the logging company putting up $7,500 bond in order to access our property.
Oh,
the
logging company.
The bond was for them to guarantee, it was a guarantee that we would have monies in the event that they did not properly manage their access to our property. In other words, not destroying it.
Got it.
Okay, so Rick Zulik from town did an excellent job monitoring this company. And as a result, the company knew he was there, and believe me, it was left in good order. So I released the bond this week. So they got their money back. Okay. Ashford Senior Center, we have completed the recarpeting and the cove base this week, as long with the annual stripping and waxing the floors. So that work is done. And as the monies will just overrun the budget. I think it was under bear with me. It was under $6,000 in total. Actually, under 5,000. Ashford website replacement, staff training is still going on. Updates are being made to the website in preparation for a Wednesday, November 13th, 9:30 a.m. launch. Christina, I don't know if you're working with someone here on what's put out there for Board of Finance.
On the website?
On the new website.
Yeah, I got actually, I should have mentioned that. I got a communication from Sherry Much that said if your board works with a town staff member, which in this case would be Sherry, to coordinate with Sherry on that, gathering any feedback.
Good.
I looked at it, Sherry, and I don't think there's anything basically, we just have agendas and documents, so I don't really think there's anything from my perspective that needs to be updated. I don't know if you had any thoughts.
Not
Are
at
you
the
asking
moment.
me or someone else? Okay, moving on. Veterans Day planning. This is Veterans Day planning for Saturday, November 9th, 11 a.m. at the Veterans Memorial, to be followed by refreshments, etc., at the Senior Center. This is a 5-town event, and Ashford is hosting this year. I think I've mentioned this one before. So we've been coordinating with the veterans and municipal leaders in the other towns and with dignitaries that we would like to attend. During the event, the Korean War veterans will receive a 65th anniversary of Korean War Service Medal and a certificate that our state senators are providing. The expenses are not to exceed $2,500 and will be charged to the general government contingency line. Any questions about that? Okay. If I understand correctly, the fiscal year 2023-24 general government budget was underspent by approximately $200,000. And the Board of Selectmen have been discussing asking the Board of Finance for $50,000 to scan and index all of the documents in the Land Use Department. So we will put together something. We have gotten an estimate on that. We'll put it together and provide that to you in writing. So what we're asking, we will probably be asking is that you provide that, considering that the budget was underspent by as much as it was. By the way, part of that underspending was because we're not able to fill some positions that we had out there. Okay.
That's interesting.
Any questions? Couldn't quite hear that.
Were there questions? No.
Okay, there was an Our Town, Our Future stakeholder meeting, community forum held last Wednesday. Over 40 townspeople participated, and they provided ideas and input about initiatives they'd like Ashford to have with a view towards 2035, at least, you know, that forward thinking. Once I receive the information that was gathered during the meeting, I'll forward it to you so that you have that. Also, I'd like to hold our first capital improvement committee meeting in November. And I'm working with Sherry on our schedule for sending out budget requests, their format, how they're going to be, and anything else we need to receive from those individuals or departments, I should say. And that's all I have right now. Do you have any questions about anything else? But the only other thing I'll make mention of is that we did have a town meeting. Essentially, there were a number of things that were covered. A town meeting, though, on Saturday, this past Saturday at noon. And we put forth a couple of ARPA items. One was approved. That was actually, it was a kind of a two-parter, if you will, which was to increase the exemption for farm buildings and the limit in terms of it, and farm equipment. And that was passed by the town. The other one was it was a safety initiative to put up automated traffic management in town in some hot areas. Those are areas where we have speeders and there's some concern about safety. And something called Traffic Logics is the company that we've worked with. And that particular initiative, because it would issue $50 tickets. Let me just step back a second. This is part of a public act that was put out by the legislature last year and went into effect July 1st of this year. And that was to allow municipalities to put in traffic control signals and traffic control mechanisms that would be managed by the municipality. So a couple of components to that. One is that you would have to have a ordinance, and the ordinance would be that people could not go over 10 miles, could not go over the 10-mile above the speed limit threshold. So if you have a speed limit of 35 and they're going 45, they would not get a ticket. If we have, certainly we have areas, the school, we have one right out here in front of the building where people are speeding through. We've had one fatal accident there. And I'm not sure what the accident was on 89 yesterday, but we're having accidents, and I receive every week someone either calls me or comes to my office to tell me they don't feel safe on our roads because of the speeders. And so this system would be based upon, the bottom line is if you have an ordinance that says you can't go over any of the 10, you cannot go 10 miles or more over the speed limit on any road in Ashford. If you have that ordinance, then the ticket that would be issued would be for breaking the ordinance. It would not be a true traffic ticket that gets reported to your insurance company or the DMV. There would be a $65 fine. You get a warning the first time, $65 fine the next time it happens. 50 of it would go to the town, 15 for the administration, which includes everything from issuing a warning, issuing a ticket, collection, that whole thing. And then the next offense would have been $90, which is a $75 ticket, if you will, plus the $15 admin fee, the $75 to go to the town. There's been success out in Washington, Connecticut with this. It's a new process, and there are at least, I believe, 12 other towns that are now in process of doing this. So anyway, that one was not acceptable to the public because they would have had, the ticket would have been issued to the owner of the car, because the camera setup would take a picture of the back of the car, just basically focus on a license plate. And again, it was not focused on the person driving the car. It's not like a trooper stopping you. It's not the price of a ticket that you get from a trooper. The point was only to deter speeding as much as we can. So again, the town did not accept that, and we are looking at other means to do something about the traffic safety issues. I want to remind everybody that one of the primary responsibilities of the Board of Selectmen is public safety. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Catherine. I did just, the next item on the agenda is an update on the STEEP grant, which I don't know if you can comment, Catherine. Have we heard, is there any update on that STEEP grant, whether we're gonna get the funds reimbursed?
Well, so I've had conversations with Chris. Chris is the one doing the STEEP grant submission. So she hasn't had an opportunity to work on it over the last 2 weeks, but she intends to start tomorrow and work on it also next week. So I'm monitoring that. Again, she's been up to her eyebrows in other work. But we understand the urgency of getting this done. I have a question actually for Sherry. Sherry,
Yep.
once the steep grant submission, all of the paperwork regarding what was done for this steep grant, which was used for the repaving in Ashford, I'm sorry, in
Southworth.
Southworth, thank
Drive.
you,
Yep.
Southworth. I wanted to say Ashford Park. How long does it take to receive the monies?
It depends on who's reviewing it, and making sure everything is in place that gets submitted. So,
Yeah, let's
um,
make an assumption that everything's done
it's good.
properly.
God, it's been a little while since I've dealt with steep. I'm gonna say maybe a couple months.
Couple months. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't guarantee that, but just I'm gonna go with that. So let's hope everything is good and there's no hiccups, and we'll go from there.
I want to reiterate, from my perspective, and certainly it's the selectmen's, this is a top priority item.
Okay, thank you. The next item is in your neighborhood, Sherry, discussion and possible action regarding closing out capital projects. So I know you were gonna talk to the auditor about the best way to kind of pull that information together.
Yes,
And where are
I
we?
I sent you an email yesterday with the
Ooh,
attachment.
I didn't receive it. Could you resend it right
Is it
now?
in your spam folder?
Oh, well, I hope it wouldn't be spam for Sherry.
I get stuff
It could be
sometimes from the board ends up in my,
Let's
we
see.
send agendas.
junk email, I'll check. But I definitely was checking.
Hold on, let me.
I don't see it in spam.
Catherine, did you get it? Because I sent it to both of you.
Let me just take a peek. Thanks.
Only because I'm home, and let's see if I
It's
think
possible I could have deleted it by accident. That's the other thing. Let me see. Sometimes my finger gets a little delete happy.
let's see, hold on. Um, yep, let me.
When did you send it?
About 4:45 yesterday, about 4:30, 4:45. Neither one of you get it?
Yeah, I definitely don't see it.
Okay, hold on. One sec. File, save as.
If you want to take your
I have
time,
what I have is the CNR report from the auditors. Is that what you're
Yep,
talking about?
yes, that's exactly it.
Oh, it said it went to finance. It didn't, and to first selectmen.
Oh,
So
gee,
it went to finance, that would be your
I
department.
sent it to myself.
So it
could
didn't
you
get
forward,
to Board of
I
Finance.
didn't do Board of Finance, sorry.
could you forward it to me, Catherine?
Yes, ma'am, coming up.
Oh, dear God. I had finance on my brain, but picked the wrong one. Sorry.
That's okay. We can make this work.
There you go.
Thank you,
Let
Catherine.
me know if you don't get it.
And you sent, oh, there it is. Yeah, thank you. All right, I'm gonna have to just do a little magic to get it up on the screen. So give me 1 second. Oh, there it is, hold on, I'm in the wrong folder. Okay. Well, this is gonna be tough to see on the screen, but we'll do our best, so. Let me share my screen. Okay. So, this is a list, correct me if I'm wrong, Sherry, of all of our capital projects.
That would be correct.
And then we've got some columns here. And the final number is ending balance.
Yes.
So what do you want to tell us about this?
Okay. So basically they put in the beginning balance, from the prior year and did any transfers in from budget, which basically is, all the third column there. And then any um also revenues that came in, then minus the expenditures, and then that'll give you your ending balance on these projects. So for the school roof, there was an adjustment for a bill that had come in from the Imperial Company. It came into us and it was for work through almost the end of June. So
And
when
that Imperial Company is the general contractor. They're the builders.
yeah. So when that came into us, of course, it goes through the channels for approval and that, and then comes to us. So we actually paid it on July 10th. So the auditors come in and they made the adjustment because it actually was for, prior year. So it becomes an accounts payable. So that's why it looks so, the expenditure, the bill was $1.5 million. And then the
But
timing of,
what
go
we're
ahead.
looking at is 1.7.
Seven,
Yeah.
yes, but there was
Okay.
there was small bills that happened prior, to the roof actually getting done, for bonding and for bonding is meaning attorneys and for architect and things like that. So we had some expenditure, but they went and, moved this bill. So it becomes now the 1.7. And so then also it's going to be a timing thing because of when the town went for bonding. That happened in July. So that 4 million won't show until next year's, on this table. So it so you're looking at, if you go down further a little bit, Christina.
Yeah, the 1.26 million.
Yeah, keep going.
Oh, keep going.
Yes. So
Oh, okay.
basically you're $1 million over because of that big bill. It wouldn't have looked so bad, but it's timing. The 4 million will show up in the next table. So we're ahead of the game. So it's just on paper as of 6:30 because that's our end date. The other thing that is on here, if you notice, if you go back to, I think it's column H. Yeah. So this is where the Southworth Drive, the steep grant. So they had to back that off because we have not received the monies. So if you go down further, go down to, yep, keep going, scrolling. So where our fund balance, it was $872,000, let's say. I'm rounding numbers here, but then they had to take the 462 off. So that reduces it, but then the town put in, the Board of Finance put in $343,000 and there's a little bit of interest. So if you scroll over to the end again, your fund balance you're dealing with $257,000. If you didn't have the roof project in here, you have $257,000 in your for your
If
fund
we
balance
didn't
in
have
this
what
handoff.
projects?
I'm sorry,
What, you said if we didn't have
didn't
some
have the roof
project,
project.
oh, the roof project.
Yeah.
The balance would be 257.
Yeah, you would have roughly $257,000 in fund balance.
Okay,
It
even
would
with
probably be a little
that,
bit more, but you know, that's
that two
that's
hundred
where
and
you're.
fifty-seven, sorry,
Yep.
that 257 is with the steep grant money subtracted out?
That is correct.
Okay. So
Yep.
in theory, when we get that steep money.
Yep.
That number would be 400,000 or so more?
462,000 more.
Okay, and then when we account for the 4 million in bonding,
Yes.
that's even more significant. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So that's kind of where you're at with the fund balance right now, $257,000 that you have to play with, let's say. And then when the steep money comes in, of course, then there'll be more money there. So let's say steep money comes in by the end of December, you'll have that going forward when we starting to do budgets.
Okay.
Okay. So then if you go over to like PQ,
The other tab?
no, you can stay on this tab.
And this one? Okay.
Yep. So then this will show you what projects we probably should close out if you go to, I think it's Q, the column Q,
Oh.
because you have these small little, yeah,
cute.
R, it's R. Small little projects that you can close out if these ones that are like $193 close out. But you may want to just move money in here. Yeah, I don't know if you can. Let's see if I can. Hold on. Let's see if I can get my. So there's a few projects that are overspent. So what you want to do is transfer the monies that are over into these projects that are overspent.
Okay, so which ones are overspent? The one
Yep, 785, which is
the
the
school van
van.
replacement?
Yes. And that 1,200, that's the fire alarm system. So the little things, you want to transfer any project that's done, which I can tell you projects that are done. Hold on, I had this. See if I can. Oops, nope. Cancel this. No, I can't get to my. Hold on.
Is there a way to get a column on here that indicates
Yeah,
whether
like freeze
done
it,
or not?
freeze the first column there with the projects, and then you can scroll it.
And then it's multiple columns. Let's see if I can.
Um, okay.
These
Um,
panes, look at
Yep,
that.
freeze
Freeze paint
panes.
selection.
First column, yep.
It's kind of cutting things off also.
And you said there's something hidden in here that says what the status of the project
There you
is?
go. There we go. Good.
Where?
So for $193, that's the heat exchanger. We can move that money to fund the overages, or you could just close it and then that 193 goes into that fund balance. Oil tank replacement, that I do believe that is done also. Now the question that I have on that, because some of that half was funded by the BOE non-lapsing and half was funded by the town. That's a decision whether, you send some back to the BOE or it stays here. You know,
I
that's,
think that the intention was that it would return half and half. I think we've talked about that multiple
Okay.
times.
but that's something that you guys, have to decide and let me know. Um, roof replacements ongoing, fire trucks ongoing, road resurfacing, that is still ongoing. The playscape can be closed, the mini excavator can be closed. Um, the dump truck is still going. Um, now the bus and the van, well, I mean, you could easily take the bus and cover the van replacement and then close them if you wanted to do that.
So the
Uh,
school
Could you say
mid-bus
that one
is
again?
closed?
Oops, I'm sorry. You both talked over each other.
Sorry.
I said the school, the project that's listed as school mid-bus is closed. That's done.
Yes, they buy a bus, what, every year, every other year. So that's the leftover monies that, but then the van went over. So, just take the difference and to close out the project. Generator is done. That money, that goes back to the CNR because that was not funded by the BOE non-lapsing. So,
Okay.
fire alarm system, that is done to my knowledge. So then, take another one of these small projects to cover the overage. I don't know if we're doing any more repairs or upgrades at Town Hall, Catherine.
I need to take a look at that.
Okay, because there's 2,200 out, 2,250 there still.
Yeah, I'm
That's
trying to
for,
recall what those repairs and upgrades were at Town Hall,
I think
Town
it was,
Office Building.
yeah, I think it was for little things, repairs of walls and things like that, electric, any little projects you had to just, that needed us, to be updated.
Ah, I don't, I don't know what this is for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, I think it might
Better.
have been BC before Catherine, so I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
I will follow up on that myself.
No, that's fine. So that's kind of it in a nutshell, Christina. Just those small little amounts and go from there.
Okay, just real quick though, the volunteer fire department roof replacement and solar
Yep.
piece.
Yes.
I didn't think we had that in the capital budget. I thought we
You
funded that through the fund balance.
you did. So what happens when you go to a town meeting and do an appropriation from the undesignated fund balance, that money gets transferred into capital non-recurring because it's a capital project.
Oh, so it's
So
kind of
then,
a capital project in the end anyway. Probably should
yes,
just.
yes,
Well,
yes,
but you use different funds for it. You're
that
not
is
using
correct.
capital. Yeah,
Well, but we probably just would have transferred more from the fund balance
could.
to CNR for that purpose, but whatever, that's fine.
Yeah.
Is there anything on the second tab that we should know about?
Basically, it's just what was approved for budget. These are the things that happened at budget and your revenues and how the number comes, and this number on the bottom of P comes into tab 1. So it just shows you what you budgeted for projects and for, oops, I think it's over further. And if you scroll down, bottom of F.
Oh, right. Bottom of that.
I think it's F. Yeah, oh no, I'm sorry, J. Yep.
872, yeah, okay, got it.
Yep. Yep. It's just a tie out as to what happened at budget and what got transferred in and revenues. And it's just a balancing.
Okay. So
Um,
I guess that my question is, what should we as a board be doing? Should we be voting to close out the following projects and then, heat exchanger, oil tank, playscape, da, 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 da?
Yes,
We should vote to close out those projects.
yes,
And
you should
then
vote
do,
to, yep.
and then do we have to do a separate vote to balance out the two projects that were overspent, the school van and the fire alarm?
You could do it all as one. Basically, you do make a motion to take from, let's say the bus, the mini bus, and cover the van. And you could take from, I'm not sure the columns at the moment, the projects here at the moment. I can't see it.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Nope, that's okay. You want to scroll over and up a little bit. So yeah, I, I would make a motion to move funds from the mid bus to the van replacement. And then, we could take, the playscape and the mini excavator to cover the fire alarm system. Well, it's going to be more, and the difference from the van, I bet. So hold on, let's see. And so we're getting,
I guess my question is, why don't we just say that we are closing out all these projects?
Yep.
The ones that were overspent, the ones that were underspent, we can list
Net 'em.
them out. Yeah, say, and then you would have a net number at the end, right?
Yes, yes, yep.
That might make it easier.
Yes, yep.
Although the wrinkle is
The
that oil tank
tank,
and how
yes.
so let's say we as a board say half that 91,000 goes to the town, half of it goes to the school.
Yep.
Do you transfer that? Do we direct you to transfer that money? Is that
Yes.
how that would? Okay.
Yes, yes. So that would be a separate,
yeah, maybe that's a separate motion.
yes,
Here's what I'm gonna suggest, because this is a lot for all of us
yes,
to absorb.
correct.
Is that let me work out with Sherry over the next week or so exactly
Yep.
what those motions should be, so I can bring them to the meeting and everybody can get this document and really look at it and understand it, and then we
Correct.
can actually make the approvals at the next meeting when everybody understands what we're doing. Does that make sense?
Yep. That's perfect.
Yeah, I'd like to see the history and the take conversation, because
Yeah, I mean, I know we
I
talked
just-
about it.
I don't remember that.
I just have a quick
history,
question
but it
on
should
this.
be in the minutes.
Go ahead, Catherine.
Sherry, is there any special protocol or anything for anything that went, any of the projects that went over budget?
That's
I
where,
mean, is it as straightforward as just closing them out the way we're describing? I just want to make sure.
the only thing you'd have to do is just, the Board of Finance just has to make a motion to close the project. So let's just say it's a straight, the playscape, it's whatever the dollar amount. You say, I'm gonna, make a motion to close the playscape. So what happens in the amount of $193? Then what happens once you close that, that goes into that fund balance. That will increase that fund balance line.
I was talking about the ones where we overspent.
Yep. So then you can, if it was only two projects, let's just say we got two projects, we're going to use the minivan and the other one. So they would just do a motion to say, we're going to take from the minibus the dollar amount and to fund to to transfer to the over expenditure on the van.
Thank you. That's all I need.
That's all you do. That's all you do.
Thanks.
Yeah, and if offline, Sherry and I can just kind of write
Right,
that
so
all out, so we're not.
You'll have a
trying to
series
do
of
a lot.
motions.
Yeah.
You'll probably have a series of motions.
So essentially it nets itself is what's going to happen. All the projects are going to come up to a dollar amount minus the overages, and you're going to have a bottom line that's going to get funded back into the fund balance for the CNR.
Thank you for doing this and getting it done in a timely fashion for
Yes,
our planning for our next budget.
yes.
So,
Yeah, just let's, and just a quick, so just a quick note on the oil tank replacement, and I can do some more research and bring it back, Judy. But someone please remind me, there was we replaced the oil tank at the school.
Yep.
And it was like 300,000 something.
270,000. It was 135 from the town, 135 from the BOE non-lapsing. And what happened is in the project, we also got insurance money. So that's why it came in. And that's why there's so much money left.
So under budget, yeah.
Yes.
And so because the monies came from the town side and the school side, the idea has been to then return that extra money half and half.
Yeah, see, I don't remember it that way, so I'd like to go back to the minutes and look at it and see.
Sure.
I mean, it was a while ago, so just to revisit.
Yep, I can do that research and bring it back.
I mean, it's something you can do. You don't have to either. But I mean, that's just kind of just throwing that out there because it did come from that BOE non-lapsing account. So.
Okay, so we're not gonna act on this tonight, but we will at the next meeting.
Okay.
And in between then, I'll do some research on the funding piece. And then also exactly how we're gonna phrase the motions.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's it for that item, Sherry, unless there's anything else.
No, nothing else that I can think of. I think that was the biggest thing. This is what's going to show in your audit report is this report. So, but if we can clean it up before it gets that, so then those they'll come off of that list by the time the hard copy comes out.
Got it, okay.
Yep.
What were you gonna say, Judy?
The time frame
question.
when the money was transferred.
Oh, I'm
The
sorry.
time frame when the money was transferred for the oil tank replacement?
Yeah.
It was in the fiscal 2023 budget, I wanna say.
I think it was 22, 23.
Yeah, because it definitely wasn't the last budget, it was
No.
the one before, it was Craig Kreller budget.
Yeah, I remember that, but I remember something too, but I don't exactly.
I think that the
details.
complicating factor was the insurance, like we knew insurance was gonna cover it, but we had to fund it. Because we weren't sure exactly how much insurance.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the thing that kind of made it a little
Wonky.
confused.
It'll be in the minutes.
Yes, yes, it will. Yep. Okay, so yeah, we'll finalize this stuff at the next meeting. Thank you, Sherry.
Yep.
Next item is discussion and possible action regarding 2025 Board of Finance regular meeting dates. This is a little bit ahead of schedule. But I figured Sherry Much kind of made me nervous. She emailed like, you better get it done. December, there could be snowstorms. So obviously there's a budget schedule that would, complement this that we can't finalize yet, but we can look at the budget calendar that I have drafted. But basically, I sort of stuck with I basically just updated what we've done in years past. So we've got 2 meetings in January. Then we've got 4 in February, which the idea has been have all these regular meetings and then we can cancel if we don't need them during budget season. So then we've got 4 in March, 3 in April, and then by the time and then 3 in May, and then from then on it's 2 per month. For the most part, except for December. December, I think we only end up with 1 meeting because of where Christmas falls. It's December 11th, and then 2 weeks from that is Christmas Day, which I don't think we want to meet on Christmas Day. So I don't know if these dates look right to everybody, if anybody has any questions. And we can always call special meetings if we need to. We can cancel meetings if we don't need them, but it's good to just have them on the books. And then we get these filed with the town clerk once we approve them.
So the only thing I noticed is don't we generally meet the second and fourth Thursday?
Yeah, which one are we not?
February 6th is the first Thursday, because you did every 2 weeks.
Yeah, I did that because I wanted to try to give us a weekly
Oh,
meeting.
okay, so it goes 6:30, that's when we start the weekly, okay. So
Yeah,
I missed that, I didn't see the next one.
I
Okay.
don't think we're gonna need
Right,
that.
no,
February
it's been the
16th.
practice, you're right, I just kind of, I missed I missed the math, the 6 and 13. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. My mistake.
That's okay.
I motion to approve the calendar.
Second.
Right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great. Maybe we'll be the first board to get our dates in to share it. She'll be so impressed. The next item is, I did do some just preliminary work on the budget calendar. And again, this is very preliminary because we don't have the Region 19 numbers. But I just want to share it. One, just to give everybody a heads up, and two, because I did something different that I'm like super pleased with myself. So this is the kind of typical presentation where we sort of list out our dates. And we've got the school budget being presented on February 20th. This again is just following basically what we did last year. We have the general government budget being presented on March 6th. I added into this schedule based on our process from last year where we got copies of the budgets in advance and submitted questions. Oh, you know what? I'm not sharing my screen, so our Zoom friends can't see it. So let me do that. So here for Friday, February 14th, I put, this is new to put in the calendar, Ashford school budget copies made available to Board of Finance. So this way the school board knows when to get this to us. And then we get our questions to the Board of Ed by that following Monday. Again, just trying to put this in writing so there's not like, what are we doing again? And then the formal presentation. And then a similar plan for the general government. The copies of the budget would be made available February 28th. And then we would submit our questions to the Board of Selectmen by the following Monday. And then presentation, I put in here these two meetings for like reviewing budget proposals and seeking clarification. And then I think last year we had the budget being adopted like Tuesday. It was like a weird, the schedule was weird last year and we ended up not doing it. We ended up approving the budget on March 28th. So I wanted to put that in the calendar this time so that we have a hard date that we're kind of trying to work towards. Because I feel like last year was a little like, when are we doing this? So that's my thinking there. I also tried to put in, I think this is a new date that hasn't been in the calendar in the past. Town budget books available to the public in advance of the public hearing. Again, this is something that always has to happen, but we never have it in the schedule and then it gets forgotten and then it's like, oh my God, we have to make copies. And then a similar thing for the town meeting, town budget books available to the public. And this, of course, I have not put this in front of Chris Abacoff or Catherine. This is all very preliminary. So definitely need their input on whether any of this is realistic.
Christine's, yeah.
But I didn't really want to do that, put that in front of them until we get the Region 19 dates. And then we can have a real conversation. And so then the other thing I did that I'm just pleased with myself about, because I'm someone who is very visual with calendars. So I saw that Wellington did something like this, where they sort of, so they have the month calendars and then they show visually when all these things are happening in the month. And I just visually really like that more than just a list of dates. So I'm hoping I can give both of these presentations to everybody to see, and it's color coded. I don't know if you noticed.
Another thing too, and there might be a good way to represent these on the new town website as well.
That would be great. So, yeah, so that's again, all preliminary. I'll probably November 7th. We'll get the dates, or November 8th, we'll get the dates from Region 19, and then at that point, I can finalize the numbers and send them to Catherine and Chris Abacoff. And then we'll we might be able to approve the budget calendar on November 14th at our November 14th meeting, or we might do it at our December 12th meeting.
It'd be great if you could do it in November, because I know for the Board of Selectmen, we'll be planning some of our meetings around this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we want to be able to submit our calendar on time to the town clerk.
Right. Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's shoot for November 14th then. That sounds good to me.
Thank you.
All right. Any questions or comments about the budget calendar? Okay. The next item is a request from the Board of Education Chair for a tri-board meeting to discuss the 25-26 budget. So this came from Jane Urban. She noted that in some prior years, we have held a meeting among the first select person and Board of Finance and Board of Ed representatives to discuss the schedule for the budget season and the recommended format for the Board of Ed's itemized estimate of expenditures. So I'm open to the idea, and I think what would make sense is if we did it, we could just do 100% virtual, you know, just do it on Zoom, and then whoever can join from the three boards can join. And we just have a conversation about what the budget's gonna look like. Catherine, what were your thoughts? Because it was sent to you as well.
I wanted to see what the Board of Finance was going to do, because I know that you oversee this process. I have no issue with just having a meeting. I think we need to make sure that we've got what we expect for our outcomes, so that people come prepared.
Mm-hmm. I looked at some other towns that have similar meetings, and the agendas were basically Board of Ed talks about their budget, Board of Finance talks about, you know, it was just like, it was just very simple.
General.
So I think it can be a pretty just general conversation. You know, like one thing I'm gonna raise is we didn't have debt. We paid off all of our debt for the fiscal year 25 budget, right? That was a budget with very little debt. And now we have the debt from the school roof coming on, and I don't know exactly how that's going to hit the books. And so that's the question I have, and that I think is something we need to consider, because that may impact. I don't know what the right, it's going to be like a payment schedule, right? And so how much money per year are we going to now have in debt that we didn't have the previous budget?
Just so you know, in terms of the school roof, every aspect of it. Now, the skylight is not going in until end of December, while the school is on vacation mode, provided that can be done then. And the project itself will be closed out, if you will, in January. That's what we anticipate. We are paying as we go on this. So when we look at what our debt will be, I think that you're going to find out that the debt is not going to be that great for the next fiscal year. Sherry, would you agree, or have I missed the point here? And it's okay to say if I have.
No. So what happens is the town borrowed this note, this anticipation note, and if I'm mistaken, it's for the year. So this ban will have to be paid back. And that comes into play with reimbursement and things like that. And then what happens, I mean, this is a talk with bond counsel as to the timing when this anticipation note becomes a general obligation bond. And then that I don't see that happening, and probably unless we can do it earlier, if we get everything squared away with the state of Connecticut, with the Department of Ed and things with reimbursement and things and what, is what's covered and what's not covered in that project.
Right. I think we were, what, 65% covered?
Yeah, we're getting
Something like that.
65% reimbursement of
Reimbursement, I should
of-
say, reimbursement
project.
of
What's
qualified expenses.
expenses, correct. So that'll be something that we'll have to, talk with bond counsel as to how soon can that ban be rolled into a GOB, and then that'll come into play, and then they will have a schedule as to what the payments are going to be for the next, the X number of time frame.
And I'm not sure how quickly, what length of time it takes the state
Yeah.
to actually review and send the reimbursement.
Yeah.
So I'm figuring 18 months. I don't know. Rough cut.
Yeah.
Rough cut.
Yeah.
And at that point in time, with our reimbursement, we can then reduce our bond.
Mm-hmm.
Use the monies to do that.
Right.
Right, you sort of pay that off all in at least a
We
big.
pay off everything we can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
And then you bond the difference.
So, so that's something that we could discuss, make the Board of Ed aware of, and obviously the Board of Selectmen are aware of that, but those are the kind of, I think, things that we could share to help get everybody prepared.
Question too.
Yeah.
This might be for Sherry, but, we had, monies that we were paying out for the town hall and other things that ended at the same time, or approximately the same time we took on this new, debt. And it was kind of, if I remember correctly, it was kind of almost, even Steven from what we were paying prior to taking the school roof debt to what we were paying before, right? Because I remember the numbers being something similar. We had just completed paying off,
Right.
and it was kind of almost apples to apples.
Mm.
I don't know about the apples to apples, but I
It
know.
was close.
There'll be
Okay.
I don't know what the amount will be. It's hard to say because I don't know what's going to be, qualify as a reimbursement, from the state. They get involved with that. And
I can't see how it could be
But I
similar.
remember when the paper was given to us for the school roof versus when we were starting to end that project, it looked like it was very similar to the same range.
okay.
They're around the same range.
I don't know.
Like
Yeah.
I thought, well, that's no big deal. We've been paying that all along for how many years?
Well, that's the thing. I think this is a much smaller, because the previous debt that we just paid off was for this building and
Yes,
for the firehouse, I think, right? So those were big chunks of money that we had to pay off over a long period of time. This
yes,
is a much smaller amount, plus we're getting 65% back from the state. So it's not gonna have nearly the
that's what I'm
budget
saying.
impact.
It's
Yeah.
not gonna be.
Yeah, it's a much smaller amount, for sure.
That's what I'm trying
I
to
forgot.
say.
Oh, okay, great. Fabulous. Well, you said that. So I guess if everybody else is okay with it, I am comfortable with moving forward with trying to schedule something. That's gonna be the challenge, of course, is trying to find a date that works for everybody, that we're not all meeting somewhere else. But I think that that's why I'm leaning towards a virtual meeting, so that it's the most convenient for everybody. And then I don't think we have to worry about a quorum in any way, because it's really more of just a kind of a discussion.
No, I think the only thing that can happen is and I will check this, is that, when you have 3 selectmen come to a meeting, sometimes, depending what kind of meeting it is, they have to have a notice that they are together, even if you only have 2.
You still
Right.
have
Well,
to, you still have to notice it. Yes. And you have to have minutes.
Yeah,
And
and I checked that with Sherry Much. And I think
Good.
what would make most sense is that we would notice it on the Board of Finance page, on the Board of Selectmen, on the Board of Ed, so that it's in all three places, and anybody who just looks at the Board of Ed, they would know. And, you know, vice versa.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think it could be a very simple agenda, and then, yeah, we would just need to take minutes.
Mhm.
And the way that the schedule is working now between the Board of Finance and the school is that you have your meetings alternate weeks. In other words, you don't have Board of Ed meetings on Thursdays where you have Board of Finance meetings. Is that correct?
Well, it's correct for the months where we only have 2 meetings. It doesn't work out in February, March. When we're in budget season, it tends not to
Well,
work.
yeah, well, we'd be
We have
doing
more
this.
frequent meetings.
Yeah, we would be doing this well before that. We would have that.
Right, yeah, I mean, I would think we would
Cyborg.
probably try to do this in December.
Yeah. So I would
until we-
possibly you could do it as either before or after a Board of Finance meeting on a Thursday night.
There you go. That's a good idea. Okay, I will, reply to Jane's email. And Catherine's CC'd on that, and we'll try to pick a date and get the agenda together. Okay. The revised process for transfer of monies to the CNR fund, I did email our attorney and I have not, the town attorney, and I have not heard back, so I need to follow up with him. Is that normal, Catherine? Does he need a little?
I'm sorry, you
Okay.
were talking pretty quickly there and I didn't quite catch it.
Sorry, I emailed the town attorney, I'm forgetting his name.
Duncan?
Duncan, yeah, about, the revised process for transferring monies to the CNR fund. And I just didn't hear back. I don't know if that's.
Was I in
normal.
copy for that?
I don't know.
If not, could you send me your email and I'll do a follow-up? He's usually pretty responsive when I call him.
Okay, yeah. Here it is. No, I did not CC you, but I will send this to you right now.
Thank you. That's helpful because what happens too is the bills come in here. And they just come as a statement from the attorney. So the attorney's offices for all of the services. So then I'm at least aware.
Okay. And then update on the annual report. That's on my plate. I haven't had a chance to do the final review before I send it over to the selectman and Chris Abacock. So moving along, but haven't made much progress on that. Agenda items for the next meeting. We did get a request from the Conservation Commission to consider their request of utilizing some or all of the pilot money we get from Yale to basically fund a conservation fund, which we we have a fund, Sherry, a conservation fund or a land preservation fund?
I think you have an open space. Is it open space? Yes. And the Yale money is $8,500. I believe that we get.
Right. I looked in the audit and I didn't see an open space fund. Would all of our funds be in the audit? Or is it possible there are some that aren't like listed out?
Some of them are together, so it may not be separate, like the library fund or recreation fund. So sometimes they're lumped in as other funds. So it's a combination.
Is there an opportunity in a future audit to have them broken out?
It all depends on how they're set up. How they're originally set up is how they're classified in the audit.
Or even a narrative that indicates
there
that
might
breakdown?
there might be in the audit report that is in narrative. So I'll have to look, but I thought we had an open space fund. I have to look.
I think we do.
Yeah.
Okay. So that, again, that's on the agenda for the November 14th meeting.
Okay.
And then we'll have the hopefully approve the budget calendar at the November 14th meeting, and also
Capital.
the CNR fund project
Yep.
close out. So that's 3 items for the November 14th meeting. I think that's it. Anything else anybody can think of?
The annual report.
The annual report, depends on if I get it done. We'll see. I don't think so. I'm not gonna hold my breath on that one. Okay. Remarks for the good of the board. Thank you very much, everybody, and appreciate everybody's time. And kind of sad that it's dark out now when we're done with our meetings again. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So,
Keith made the motion.
second.
Paul seconds. All in favor?
Right.
Okay.
Hey, Christina, before you log off, this has nothing to do. I just have a question for Paul. Did you get an email from me? I asked for your number of volunteers and ambulance calls I need for workers' comp report.
I did not get it.
Okay,
So when did you send it? Let me look at my junk folder.
okay. I sent that a few weeks ago, probably when you came in the last time and before you left.
No, I did not. So you just need
I need the
number of
number of,
volunteers and
yep, number of volunteers and the number of calls, please.
total calls or,
Ambulance calls, I believe they asked for.
okay.
If you could give me total calls just in case they
Yep.
ask, that would be,
As I recall, if I remember right, last time I had to do this, then they came back with a whole bunch of other questions. So I'll dig out the email and adjust it accordingly and send it to you.
okay,
right.
that'd be great. And that way I can finalize that workers' comp report and get that out. Thank you.
No problem. All right.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Have a good
Thank
night.
you.
Good night.
too.
Bye-bye.